Welcome everybody to the episode 5 of File.io.
File.io.
What?
Episode 5 of the CSS podcast. We're covering File.io.
Woo!
Okay. So up till now we have covered, let's see, what have we covered? We've covered classes, we've covered functions, we've covered statements, we've covered a lot of stuff. We've actually gone for a pretty long way for computer science. We've covered the functions, the return types, the loops, the classes. We've covered variables and simple user I/O. So today, in case you're tuning in for the first time, I'm Sergio.
I'm Isaac. I drove 3 hours for you. Guys, you better be watching this. I swear to God.
I'm Amanda and I'm back.
And
Chris is gone.
And Amanda's back, but we lost Chris.
Yeah,
So,
we can't be in the same room anymore, so it's either me or Chris.
yes, so hopefully today we'll finish going over our topic. So we're going to be going over File.io. So we're going to be establishing how to read in from files, how to write to files, and I think this is a good time to introduce header files.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
I wasn't doing anything.
Were you doing bunny ears? Hey, resend me the link because it's not working.
Okay, hold on. Well,
Like at all. Because the link you sent me was for the podcast 4.
it says podcast 4, but it's the right link.
You sure?
Yes, I'm positive.
I get this blank page.
You're a blank page.
Your existence is the blank page.
My life is a
He's like, that's so sad. Please don't say that. This is a safe place. Okay, got it. I got it.
So Isaac,
What's up?
why don't you tell us about your CS1 class? How's it going so far?
It's going well. I didn't do one of the homeworks, but it's okay because my professor said that during spring break, if we make a game, it'll cover one homework grade. So I got to sleep in and not do my homework this past week.
What was your homework on?
My homework, what was it on?
If you don't know, that's fine. I mean, I don't know what half my homework is. I should really...
I think it might have been operators.
Oh. Okay.
You know what should be an extreme sport?
What should be an extreme sport?
My professor was next to me, and he was saying how or,
No.
you know, and, right? You know, and means
And.
or, I don't know. What is two and, first hands?
And.
Yes. So you know how or is those two lines, right?
Right.
But in order to do those, you have to do, like, you have to press shift, and then you have to press this key somewhere in this key. What the hell is this key?
Oh, it's this one.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, well that's not the way it looks like on my keyboard. On my keyboard, it's like cut in half. So it's like that and like that. So it's like, and then he said, how do I say it? It's like this.
Okay, so just so everyone knows, we're talking about the ampersand and the or operator.
Yeah, so it basically, it looks like two.
Oh, like it's broken in the middle?
It's broken in the middle.
Oh, I've seen that on some keyboards.
Yeah, so it looks like two lines like that, right? And you know how a colon right here?
Yeah.
It's the two dots, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I sit right next to my professor, and he said, so it's like I'm here, and then my professor is right here where your pizza is, and he says, you know, the or symbol on the keyboard, it kind of looks like a stretch colon. And then I immediately just like, I immediately like turn red and like I get a vein in my forehead. Just trying to hold in the laughter.
You should have laughed. Like, he probably needed that one person to laugh at his joke, and you didn't.
No, but the way he did it was so oblivious. You know, it kind of looks like a stretch colon.
Stretch colon.
This is the whole time. It's that. But yeah, that's basically my CS class so far.
Well, I'm glad you're doing well in your CS1 class, and we were able to help you get your first 100 in the test, right?
I got a perfect score in my first exam, so that's really cool. So I guess you could say I'm a hacker. So, you know.
Of course.
Be quiet.
Once you know how to count, and how to what was the other one he did?
Oh.
The char.
Oh, I thought you said
No,
Endo.
No,
Is it
oh my
Endo?
god. I actually, you know how char, like, they're character types, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you know how I call outs couts?
Yeah.
I call chars cars.
Cars.
Yeah.
You disappoint me.
Oh, like my professor was like, oh no, that's a character type. Oh, so yeah, so it's a car K, right?
No.
Yeah.
Did you name your car variable a Fiat?
Those are funny.
Yeah, I just disappointed everyone in my CS class.
Okay. Well,
I can understand that.
let's move on to actually working with files. So files are not intimidating. You just need to know the right sequence of code to use it. So let's go ahead and go into Visual Studio and take a look at a file. So we have set up right now our standard just hello world. You know, and this is how usually you start any blank program. We've been over this. But what you can do is once you want to start reading from files, let's open up Notepad. And if you're a true hacker, you have Notepad++. Okay, that's just, everyone knows that.
Take
Old
some
style or new style?
Dark style.
Okay.
You have, it has to be in dark. If your Notepad++ is white, then you're not a human.
Yeah, there's something wrong with you. Your preferences are weird. How do you live?
Wow, that is a very tiny font. Let me see if I can.
2017.
Let me see.
It's 2018, sir.
2018. Holy man, you're like in the future. So I'm like in 2017. Just like.
You
You're
go
like-
3 hours.
You're like
because
in
you didn't time
you're like in
travel.
March 4th, 2018. I don't know where the hell.
Dude,
you
I'm
are.
on February 30th, 2018. What are you talking about?
You get it. It's March 4th, 2018.
There you go. Okay.
Oh,
So,
I give you a date that doesn't exist. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. I was figuring out the Notepad++, but now
What happened? What are you having problems with?
it was just the font was really small, but I got it working.
okay.
So, for starters, let's think about just reading a file, right? So let's say we have a file that has a message, and we just want to print out that message, right? So normally, like in every program, it's a hello world, right? So we're just going to save this file, and it's going to be a file.txt, like that, right? But it needs to be saved in the same directory as our project, right? So one thing we need to get is that file directory. So you can just right click right here where it says source files and show it on the console. So we can actually click on the file. Properties. Where is this project located?
What are you doing?
There you go. Open folder and Explorer. So you just right click your project and then click on Open Folder and File Explorer. I don't think you guys can see that. So let me go ahead and move this over here. So just to show you guys that one more time, it's going to be right click on Project and then go to Open Folder and File. And that's going to open up your project directory. And in here is where you're going to want to drop any text files. All right, so we can go ahead and find out where that is located. For me, it's there. I want to save it. I'm going to want to go to, where was it? Source. This PC. And my hard drive. Users.
What are you doing?
Me.
Why are you going through a bunch of directories?
because I'm trying to get to my project. Which project was this? Project 3. Project 3. And there you go. We can save the file there. And close this. And now, there it is. File.txt. Boom. And now we're going to get this text and we're going to be printing it out on the screen. Okay? So, much like everything, we need to include the libraries, right? So just like we use IOStream for basic functions, in string, for files, we need to include the fstream library. And that's going to allow us to work with folders. With files. Okay? So, let me go ahead and delete this line.
Oh, no.
Once we have our library set up, all we really would need to do is go ahead and create a file variable. And this file variable is what you're going to reference whenever you want to touch the file or grab data from the file. So in C++, what we do is you name the file, and if it's in, you put offstream. That's just what the class is called, or ifstream.
Okay.
Right, and the important thing to remember is what you want to do with the file. So if you want to read in a file, you're going to use ifstream. If you want to output a file, you use offstream.
What do you mean by read in a file?
So like if you're just going to read the file, right? You have
Like
a
the
file,
context.
you're not going to change it.
So if it says like...
You're just going to display it. You're not going to...
Right.
Okay.
So if you just, if you're just going to like read from the file, right? You use ifstream because you're grabbing a file that already exists and bringing it in. Offstream is if you're going to make a file that doesn't exist and you're going to save it onto a computer, right? So using ifstream, we're going to name it, I like to name it in file. So I know it's a file that's coming in. And once you have our variable, now we know that every time we want to reference our file, it's going to be called in file, right? So in file dot open. That's the command we use to open the file, right? And we just put in the name of the file. Alternatively, anything that's just in the folder here, in the project folder, you can just put in the name of it, right? So right here, you can just put in file.txt, right? Because that's what we called it here. But if, let's say we wanted to read in a file that's in the desktop, you put in here the file path. So you would put in like C:\, desktop, all that to read into that file. So now we have a file variable that we can use to manipulate, and we have the file open, right? So remember how we used cout, right? We put cout, and then we'd use the extraction operator, which were the less than, and greater than, to determine what operator we're going to use, if we're going to print out or if we're going to get in something. It's the same thing with a file. So if we're going to write something to a file, it's going to be like in file, and then operator, and then you put in what you're going to write to it. But for this one, we're going to want to go ahead and read in from the file, right? So what you're going to want to use is and by the way, it's real great to use the autofill on Visual Studio, because it actually like lets you know all the different functions that you have that you can use here, right? So it lets you know, you can check the flags on the file. What we're going to use is getLine, so it's going to get the first line, right? But you can just, if you never know what your variable does, if you have some class and you're like, what does this class do? It's really good to just scroll through the autofill and let you know what you can do with this class or with this object.
Okay.
So let's get line. Right? And like that. And let's make a string. String, we'll name it S. And we'll put in whatever we read in from the file into S.
Yeah.
Should do. Okay. So at the same time, I also want some I want some, what's it called, symmetry. So if we have an in file, let's go ahead and also have an out file. Off, stream, out file.
Okay.
Right? And that's a file that we're going to write out. Right?
Do you remember my random number generator game?
Yes.
And so basically, could this out file, right?
Okay.
Could it be useful for like storing scores from my game? Like the score I got?
Yes. So,
like, what is this useful for?
So every file can be just written in, right? So in a video game, it can be used to store the high scores.
Okay.
So I actually made a game in Tamai's game development class, and we were able to keep track of the high scores. So every player that would come into play, we would read in all the high scores, and then we'd empty the file. So now we just have a blank file. And then whenever they'd play, we'd rewrite the high scores onto it. If they scored higher, then they would show up higher. If not, they wouldn't. And this is just, it was a way to store it. So every time the game was run, you could just grab the file and check the scores.
Okay, because originally my game, I couldn't store any scores. It was you just play and then whatever you got was deleted forever. But this could actually be used to store some of that, right?
Right.
Okay.
So if you have on like some settings, right, username, password. So you every time you run a program, you want it. You can ask tell me what the username and password is, and you can check against this file and see if that's right or wrong, right?
What about when Google asks if I wanted to remember the password for this website?
Yeah. So
does it do that?
Yeah. At that point, it saves a cookie file.
Cookie file.
Into your browser. So really, it's just a file in your browser. It's called a cookie.
You can also think about it like a teacher's grade book. You know, if you did a system to like count all like your classes and like the students and their grades, and like if you wanted to ever like put it to like an Excel file, you can just transfer it to a note file and then just change the extension.
Yeah. So the get line is actually the function that we're going to want to use, but I was using it a little bit off, right? So the get line is the function you're going to use, but first you put in the variable that you're going to want to store in, and then you put in the file, right? So it says you're going to get the line from this file and put it into S, right?
Okay. Okay, I see it now. Okay.
Sorry, it's the other way around, but still same thing.
So first I told it that I want to get the file from here and put it into S.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Get it first and then put it somewhere.
Right.
Of course. You can't put something somewhere and then get it because that's not how things work. Because you wouldn't be able to... I don't know what I'm saying, but...
No, yeah, that makes sense.
You need to grab something before you put it somewhere.
But
because otherwise you would never have it in the first place.
Exactly.
That's our debate for today. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Stop it.
So, with that get line function, it's important that you know that it's only going to get the first line. So if we had, like, instead of hello world, we had hello world, it would only grab hello first, and then you'd have to call get line again to actually get world, right? So for every line that there is here, right, you would need to call the get line function over and over.
Is there a way to
again.
get just the whole thing?
No. So remember how we had a loop, right? So what we can do is we can check while the file is open or while the file is not the end of file. Mm-hmm. We can keep grabbing it. So we make a loop, right? And we keep displaying.
So you can't make it grab the whole thing, but you can make it go grabbing
multiple times. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's not a function that says just get the whole thing for me right now. But there is a function. Well, you can get that same product just by putting in a loop.
Okay.
Now let's see why there is a build error here. Get line identifier not found. Okay. All right. So anyway, We'll try it a different way. What I was telling you is, for example, the in file dot is okay.
Your hello world's covering the screen.
End of file. There it is.
EOF. Okay.
Right. So this is going to do this is actually going to be a Boolean. It's going to be either true or false. What we can do here is
Do you always have to use Boolean?
well, not really. There's
Is it just for this scenario?
yeah. I mean, that's the way I've always used it. I just check if if you've reached the end of the file, and if you've reached the end of the file, then you stop, right? So while, back from our other video, right? Just do while. A quick while loop means that until that you've reached the end of this file, you're just going to keep doing it over and over again, right?
Yeah.
And then every time you open the file, you have to close it, right? So in file.close. Just like that.
What happens if you don't close it?
If you don't close it,
Is there like a catastrophical like?
Is it like dividing
And
by
the-
0, like the whole
Yeah,
list
does the
just
world
explodes?
like go to shit?
it doesn't, okay? But if, for example, you're writing into a file, right, and you don't close it, it's like you're not saving it, right? So whatever changes you made to the file are not going to stick.
Once you like keep updating it?
Yeah.
By the way, what happens when you corrupt the file? Just wondering.
Okay, so
When it's just corrupted.
Like how do you corrupt it?
that's because every file, technically every file can be a text file. So a PDF file, a docx file, they're all just files that you can read and interpret. But, for example, PDF is read in a certain way. A doc file is read in a different way, right? So when you open up the source code and you see them, for a PDF you might see a bunch of random gibberish, but Adobe Acrobat knows what that gibberish means, right? So if you like delete a portion or a chunk of that source,
read it anymore?
they can't read it anymore because the format is off. It depends
For
on
that specific program or
Yeah.
just like in general?
just for that specific program.
So could another program read a corrupted file?
Yes. So if you had a corrupted file, you could open it up and look at the source code and try to figure out where it got corrupted, right? But when a file is corrupted, it's not necessarily the file saying I can't read it. It's saying that the file that you gave me is not in the format that I'm expecting it.
Okay.
So I don't know what you did to this file, but you need to please fix it. That's basically what it is.
So basically, it'd be like if I was taking a test, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I put in all say I got like 100 on this exam, right? All my answers I put them on were in English, but I put my name in like Chinese. My professor knows that all these answers are correct, but she can't tell that someone got it, so she can't assign it to a grader. She can't assign it to a person or something. Kind of like that.
Yeah. So it would be
One part I just can't understand. Basically.
exactly.
Okay.
So if you go to your teacher and give her like, look, here's my essay, and then she sees a bunch of Chinese and she's like, yeah, no, and that's basically the program telling you, yeah, it's corrupted.
Oh, okay.
The file is either corrupted or you gave me the wrong file. And then you have to go look at it and see, okay, so how did it happen?
Or it'd be like if I turned in like physical chemistry homework to my differential equations professor.
Yeah.
So like, what the hell are we talking about? Okay.
I need to get a charger. So Amanda,
Hi.
do you remember our socket program? How it worked?
A socket program? What's that?
What? For networks?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
What is that?
Okay, so
I just know that it's it's a form of communication between a between a server and client, whether it be two different operating systems on your computer via like a virtual machine, or if it's like from this laptop to this laptop, or from like from someone in Texas to someone like say in California. The way of communicating. Did I get that right? Because we have a test
program?
this Thursday, or did I just mess that up and I'm gonna fail?
we do have a test this Thursday.
It's like, hey, I just filled my test on Thursday.
Okay.
You haven't taken the
Pray
test
for
yet.
me,
or
guys.
you know you
So
are.
the reason I brought up the socket program is because it's we have to make a program where we send a file from one computer to another, right?
Okay.
So how can we send a file from one computer to another
Email.
when we make, like, we have to make the interface, right? So what you do is you open up in binary, right? And no matter what text you have, no matter what this file is in it, it converts it all to just zeros and ones, right? And then starts sending through the network just 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1. And then the other side, they're like catching those zeros and those ones and arranging them, right?
I only catch ones. I never catch zeros.
Okay.
It would be funny if someone like goes back into the podcast and like writes down all the ones and zeros you said and like says something bad.
And then one day they just like, when you're super famous or something like that, they just throw a bunch of fucking...
Isaac, be careful with your water.
Don't spill your water, man. Oh no, water all over my laptop.
The screen just goes like all those, like the rainbow colors when they get like technical difficulties.
No, be quiet. There's a reason you're not techie.
Okay.
Anyway, okay. So going back to the code real quick here. So like I was saying, there's not just one specific function that says give me the whole file, but there is a function that checks to see is the file at the end, right? And if it is, then get me this file and do something with it, right? So I was showing you before that the getLine function actually grabs something from a file and then puts it into a string. So now that we have the first line, we can manipulate it. So what I did is I grabbed the first line, which in this case should be hello, and then we can just print that out using the good old-fashioned cow.
I die inside every time I hear you all say cow.
God.
Hey man, did you
No.
did you like assign your YouTube profile picture when you were in middle school or something?
It's actually high school, and I'll fight you after this.
Just kidding.
But don't look that little.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, so now let's go ahead
Man,
and
it's
build.
so
And
she's the
run
suspect,
this.
guys. If I go missing tonight, she did it. I swear to God.
I'm not afraid to go back to jail.
Back.
Am I
Back. Sorry, what the hell did you get me into?
I think okay.
There's a reason why I was gone for 2 podcasts.
Amanda was, getting her life together. She was served some papers.
She thought she was getting a pizza, and the guy said, "You've been served."
I don't want to laugh at that, damn it.
It came on like on Tree TV and shit.
Amanda's slowly losing it. Y'all.
Amanda was on Cops.
Oh, you think I can make it on Cops?
Okay.
Let's see here. For some reason, there you go. Okay, well that's working. So, I put 2 semicolons. No.
Kind of looks like a stretch colon, if you ask me.
I wish
Okay.
you didn't forget to put a semicolon.
There you go.
Whoa.
Now we have hello. So now if we run this same code again,
Did you mess up?
no.
It's okay not to
Run
be
it again.
okay.
Boom.
Hello, world.
World. And what does our file say? Hello world. Booyah. So now
Wait a minute. Did you just put the same code twice?
Yeah.
So every time you put in one port, like the code one time, it'll go grabbing a different line.
Yeah.
Like the consecutive, like the next line.
Yeah, that's why I took it out of the while loop. I wanted you to be able to see that the while loop really is just running this code twice. Like there's really not that much difference, right? So
And why doesn't it just keep running it? Why don't I just keep getting hello world and then booking blank just down?
Well, that's just...
because it will reach the end of file.
So
So
okay, we're just okay.
yeah, so there is at the end of the file there is a terminate file. So it's a character that you can't see.
This is like
It's invisible, but it's there. It's kind of like in a string, right? Like if you have the word like hello,
Is it like half John Cena, half Arnold Schwarzenegger?
There's
Yes.
actually a programming language for Arnold Schwarzenegger.
So what it does is you have the word hello, and at the end you have a null terminator, right? So the compiler goes by and says, this is an H, this is an E, this is an L, this is an L, this is an O, and this is where I stop. Right? So that's why if you ever want to reach a... Oh, kind of lost connection. Let me reestablish that.
Oh, good doggy. I want to pet Frito, but my hands have pizza grease all over them.
What's going on in the podcast?
Are we?
Did you see this?
Yeah.
Okay, bye. Enjoy your night.
I'm not gonna be mean to Robert. It's slowly
There you
loading.
go. Okay. I'm back into my computer.
It's still loading. I don't think there was hiccups.
Okay. Well, good. There's a little bit delay, but anyway. System, pause. What did I forget? I forgot the semicolon here. Okay. So like I was saying, in the string, it says hello and then null terminator. That's why if you ever have to go into a string, right, and let's say you only want the third letter, you actually say that you want the second because it's 0 based. It's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 5 would be the null terminator. It's just a little bit, it's good to know how strings work. And that could actually solve a lot of bugs in future programs. But let me go ahead and, now that you know that's just repeating, let's go ahead and get a, well, instead of losing time, just adding loops to this. Let's go ahead and try writing out into a file, right? So now we already have a file called in just a regular file, file.txt. Let's make an out file, and let's write, I don't know, what do you want to write into a file, Isaac?
Why are you so quiet now? Can we say how?
Just kidding.
Can we say how certain music is inspirational when you're going like 95 down a freeway?
What? What?
I just need a sentence, guys.
Okay,
You're making this way harder than it needs to be.
Isaac and Amanda taking forever to form a sentence.
what is it? All nitrates are soluble.
Oh.
What? Isaac and Amanda are taking forever to make a sentence there.
Wow.
Isaac and Amanda can't English.
My name is capitalized, but yours
What?
is scored, so...
Why is he favorite? I can't English right now, I'm sorry. That's my plate.
I will throw water on this laptop, I don't give a shit.
I'm done with you, Isaac. I can't handle you.
Just get a new guess.
Okay, so now we have it open. We opened the file. Now we need to close it, right? So first let's... Actually, I haven't even opened the file. So let's open this file. And what are we going to name this file? Isaac and Amanda can't English. Let's name it Disappointment. Yes, I like that. Out file dot open disappointment dot text. Oh, and just so you know, extensions don't mean anything.
So you could put .pdf?
Yeah, I can do .pdf right now.
You could put dot.
Could you put dot?
I could name that wherever I want. The only thing an extension is good for is telling you what program you want to run this file. So if it's a .pdf, you can choose. You can even have Chrome open it.
It's kind of like just a reminder, just like, oh hey, you're gonna want to run this as a
This is where it's
text.
gonna pop up.
Yeah. So remember how I was saying like a corrupted file? It just means that like the format's wrong. The extension's just telling you this is the format that you should read this in. Right.
Okay.
So a text file means that there is no format. It's just plain text.
So,
right?
for example, if this was a PDF, this part would basically remind me, oh, use Adobe
to open this, yes.
Okay.
And if you could create your own extension, you can have a .isaac, and you can choose to open it with, I don't know, some sort of chemistry program, right? And you can only have letters, no numbers, whatever. And your program would know how to read it because that's something you made up, right? That's all extensions are. So if you ever like try to I don't know, like, it's a pro tip for everyone watching. If your professor, right, like let's say you have like an exam, or not an exam, what am I saying? An essay that's due, right? And you're like, I haven't done it at all. What am I gonna do? So what you do is you open up a doc file, right? And you just write random gibberish in it. And in this random gibberish, you save it, and then you have a file, a doc.x file with random, bless you.
Thank you.
With random gibberish.
Where's your manners?
You open it up with whatever text editor you want, and you're gonna see a bunch of like, it's not even intelligible code. Like, you're not gonna see what you typed in there. But what you do is you just delete a random chunk of code, and then send that to your file, to your professor. When they open it, they're gonna be like, "Oh, there's a problem. You know, your file got corrupted. Can you send it again?" But by then, you bought yourself time to actually do your work.
I swear.
Are we allowed to promote cheating?
You know what? Fuck Mike.
Hey, you know, it's a corrupted file. You know, it's up to the teacher.
We just taught people how to make corrupted files.
You know.
Do we have to go and hide?
Can you show me how to change my grades too? Because that'd be awesome.
So you install a keylogger.
Oh my god. Oh no, Isaac, you dropped your water. You spilled water everywhere.
Only I can do that.
I should have said spilled. I could have remembered when I said dropped.
Okay, so now we're going to write to the file, right? So we already opened the file. We already closed the file. So now all we have to do is just grab this string and write it to the file, which is really easy. You just get the file, out file, and then use the extraction operator or the insertion operator, and then put in the string. Boom. Compile that. Let's run it. And it ran.
Did it?
I think.
I thought that was
there it is. Okay, it ran. Boom. Awesome.
I don't.
We don't have visual.
It ran really quickly, and there's like a video lag.
So now we have to take your word.
Well, no. We can just go into our project directory, and we should be able to see our disappointment.txt right there. We can open our disappointment.txt.
I don't see any pineapple on this file.
Where's the ham on it?
And there you go. Isaac and Amanda can't English.
They still don't have a
Wow.
We don't have any visuals. It's not appearing. Oh, I can also look at the monitor. Share your screen. Share your screen. Oh, I'm so sorry that I'm sleepy.
At all?
Nope.
How long has it been like that?
It's the first time you run something. Well, before you run Hello World, that one worked. But this one is not showing.
Are you getting visual from the camera? Yeah, you're okay. Yeah. So the camera's going fine. It's just.
Streaming? I already checked with Amanda. We're streaming.
Okay. So I mean. Let me see.
When I become a famous chemist, this water molecule is going to be worth $1 million.
Anyone can make that water
Fuck
molecule.
off. Okay, it's not. It's mine.
Just to spite you, I'm gonna go this week and buy the little.
Just hand them out for free at the union.
Yeah, I'm just gonna hand them out to people, and I'm gonna like brand them somehow. I'm gonna make sure it doesn't say your name at all.
At all.
Or like one day when you're not at the apartment, I'm gonna ask Chris to let me in. I'm just gonna put water molecules everywhere.
Dude, straight up. You know how people like put popcorn in someone's car and just fill it up?
Maybe
Just
I know people do
Let's see.
post it.
No, like the Visual Studio's not even on my screen anymore.
No, I've seen people's cars hold with popcorn.
Ew.
I feel like people would straight up.
That must be
Switch
popping
scenes and
though.
then switch back.
Like,
No, you already did that, right?
Drop out.
Don't worry.
So you didn't drop out.
Check the video sources.
I hope you're happy.
God, we're having some technical difficulties, guys.
We're having hiccups. Where would we be without Mr. Nunez? He's off to the side. Our lovely cameraman and tech supporter. He's great.
So Amanda,
Hi.
I want you to teach Isaac what a header file is. While I go fix wherever.
Can't we just have Alexa play elevator music
Isn't
in the meantime? Actually, okay.
You know what? That probably
that.
would be more educational.
Wow, you think I can't teach you?
I'm just kidding.
Go back to Laredo. Go drive another 3 hours.
you on this side of the border.
We're on the same side of the border.
Oh. Now you're treated different though. You're just the white guy in the Fiat. Okay, Isaac. Scoot over. Do you know what a header file is?
Okay, a header file is just.
What's a header file? I'm gonna quiz you right now. If it's not exact like the definition.
Okay, isn't a header file just like a CMath or CSTD library where you kind of like you use them to give you like superpowers when coding?
You disappoint me as an individual. No, I'm gonna read you the exact definition just to spite you. A header file is a file containing C declarations and macro definitions, C macros in parentheses, to be shared between several source files. You request the use of a header file in your program by including it with the C pre-processing.
Did you write that yourself?
You Googled it. So basically what it is, it's because it's not very professional to have everything like in your .cpp file. Your .cpp file is just supposed to have like your main, and your main function just supposed to have the remaining function calls or the class calls to whatever is located away from that one file. So in a header file you can make classes, and in those classes you can make subfunctions where you can do like average, min, maximum. If you're like,
IOStream is a header file, right?
no. A header file, you can just name it like, this is a header file .h. And that .h is the extension for the header file. So when you would go to your .cpp file.
So what is IOStreams?
IOStream?
It's a library.
It's a library. Oh, those are libraries?
Yeah, that's how you call it. That's how like.
So then what is a header file good for? What does it allow me to do?
Absolutely nothing. Say it again, yo.
So what's the point?
No, I'm just kidding. Keep going.
I'm gonna show that to Schweller. And I'm gonna be like, look, Schweller, this is what Setfield said about header files.
It just drops you.
Disowned.
I'm sorry, senpai.
Doesn't graduate on time anymore.
Please don't force me to stay here with you.
So basically, header files is just like a more organized way to just rearrange your code.
Organized way to rearrange my code.
So instead of having to have everything, right, just in your main file, you can have a header file and store some functions into this header file. You can even store a class in there, so that way you can just include this header file into your.
Because sometimes code can go up to like the hundreds or maybe, not always advised, thousands lines of code. And within all those lines of code, you know, something could break, something could give you.
Someone could forget a semicolon.
Someone can forget a semicolon. Somewhere the math isn't being executed properly. So at least in the main, you know, it's simple and to the point to where it's only like calling whatever functions you created or whatever class, and in the class function itself, which is this file of just chaos, you can figure out where you went wrong without it affecting like your main file. If that makes sense.
Broke my mind. I think you just broke me.
I'm sorry. I don't have Band-Aids with me to heal you. Stop spilling water. For people that are like just tuning in, Isaac constantly carries a water molecule structure with him all the time, and that's always like our little bit with when he throws it. It's like, oh, I spilled water. Why do you carry it?
I think it's the only thing that brings you joy at this point in life.
You sad little speck.
Brings me.
So other than this, how's your CS class going? Or how do you know like your other classmates are doing in it?
The other ones? The other ones are starting to give more of a damn about the class. I think just because after this other first test period.
Were the grades really bad? Or like...
They weren't super bad. But
they're like, oh damn, this
messed
guy
up
got
on
100.
easy shows.
Oh.
But
Like semicolon?
Yeah. So yeah.
Oh.
So he's getting after people less now. At the beginning, he would get after people a lot because no one would pay attention to that class.
Oh. Well, if only they watched our podcast.
Yeah.
I
If they were struggling in class, then, you know, they could each pull in together, like $5. Back us on Patreon, and we just go over whatever they have an issue in, and they can all pass together. It's not like they have an untapped potential here that we could all just help them out.
We're mentoring you.
Too bad that doesn't exist.
We're your senpais.
So if you guys are having trouble in a class and you want individual attention and you want us to go over it live with you here on the podcast, what we can actually do is just go ahead and back us on Patreon, or you go to patreon.com/CS with Sergio, and you can go ahead and just, there's levels there, depending on how much you decide to back us. You get those certain rewards. But I know that like the very first reward is like $5, and every time we do a podcast, if you have a question, we'll address you individually, and we'll review it. I mean, to the best of our knowledge, which
we try for you guys.
Which we're senior level computer scientists. If we don't know it, then
Google does.
Then Google does, and we got Google, so we'll figure it out.
And also, Sedhill's house has like Alexa and Googles all over the place, so we can just ask someone or something, a device, a question.
Alexa, what time is it?
The time is 11:01 p.m.
You made her softer. Alexa, volume 10.
Alexa, what time is it?
It's 11:01 p.m.
That's loud. That's my girl. And in my room, there's a Google Home.
Do you like being deaf?
No, but I am hard of hearing. Have you ever tried to wake me up?
I don't know, man. I always keep my Alexa at 5.
I slept in the engineering building, and I've been woken up by Wiley
It's all about Google.
throwing a paper at me and saying, "Hey,
Yeah, Alexa doesn't do anything.
shut up! You're too loud."
Oh.
What does it?
So I'm a very heavy sleeper. But yeah, guys, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here with file IO. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Did we fix all our technical issues?
Yeah, we're
Are we
good.
up and running?
Yeah. We were able to show in file, some out file. It's just basic reading in, reading out. Later on, we're actually going to go ahead and start making some bigger programs, bigger structures. Now that we've gone over the basics, now we don't feel bad when we start going into CS2 topics. If we ever start making a linked list, we're going to use a header file for that.
Isaac, what's the last topic you're going to go over in CS1? At least like with your professor specifically.
Do you think I read the syllabus?
That's true, Amanda.
I'm sorry I asked you. Like, why did I expect you to be the overachiever?
You're the only one. I don't know what's going on in our class, in our networks class, but you read the syllabus.
I'm taking it one day at a time, Amanda.
You need to find an Amanda to keep you organized.
Can I rent you?
Yeah.
Can we just, I've always said that. Instead of an Alexa, I need an Amanda. Because every time on our group chat, I'm just like, Amanda, when does summer 1 start? And then I get an answer from her like, summer 1 starts in May 31.
Project is just make
Make it Amanda.
Yeah, like just get that thing, and then make your own, but this time make it an Amanda. Write your own code.
We're gonna make our own AI, and we're gonna call it Amanda.
Make your own AI and call it an Amanda.
Oh.
It's gonna constantly like doubt its self-worth and wonder why am I here.
I ask Alexa every morning what's the weather. She always gives me the wrong weather.
What's the difference between that and an Amanda?
I ask my Google Home the weather, and it tells me right.
Like, we'll score up outside.
But all right, guys, thank you for joining us here for the 5th episode of the podcast. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and just reach out to us. Most of you guys know us in the university, but if not, just go ahead and reach out to us on our Patreon page. If you guys need any help, need anything, let us know, and we'll incorporate you guys into our next podcast. So next podcast, we're gonna go ahead and start some pretty intense topics. So join us.
We might be late due to technical difficulties, just because if you've noticed our fancy little mics.
We're moving up in the world. Now we're not sharing a mic. Now we each have our own individual microphone.
And this was very hard to actually set up.
We would like to give a quick shout out to Xander Puckett, who was our first Patreon.
Too techie for us, guys.
Who was able to help us out getting these Amazon mics. So all right, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye. Have a good night.